a 1961 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz, one of 1,450 produced. I read somewhere that only 6% had bucket seats, so obviously not very many produced with bucket seats and not many still left. It's the proper hardback bucket seats, the same as used in the 58 Bonneville and 59 and 60 Eldorado Biarritz. So, you know, quite a rare seat configuration, quite desirable from a value standpoint. This is a good solid car. It was originally a Chicago car and then later belonged to an old guy from New York who kept it at his summer house on the Hudson. A friend of mine imported it to Sweden in 2018. So when it was in Sweden, the engine was rebuilt, the gearbox was checked over, resealed, steering, brake, suspension all gone through, and the car basically made into a sort of a good cruiser, good driver. Cosmetically, the car was supposedly had some body restoration 35 years ago by Frank Nicodemus, well-known Cadillac restorer from sort of New York area. I don't have any paperwork to support this, but I got this from the guy that owned it in New York. I got his name from an advert I found for the car in the Cadillac Club, messaged him, and he'd owned the car for a lot of years, and he told me that he'd had the bottom bodywork done on the car many years ago, like back in the 90s by Frank Nicodemus. He didn't have the interior done because at the time he couldn't afford to have the interior done. When I bought the car in 2019, 5 years ago, the interior was quite rough. I sold the car 3 years ago, and in the last 3 years, the guy that's owned it the last 3 years has had the seats, carpets, door panels redone in the sort of correct pattern. It's done in sort of a metallic pearlescent vinyl, which came from SMS, which is the correct vinyl for the year, but it should be vinyl and leather, but it's just done in the vinyl. But it looks pretty good. It's the right colour. The trim tag on the car denotes 19 for the interior colour and then B for bucket seats. The dash pad got a tiny crack on the dash pad on the top. The dash pad does need doing. Obviously you can get that done in Sweden, or you can get that done Just Dashes in America. It's about $1,200, I think, something like that, to get the dash done. It's got a nice black canvas top on it. The car's solid underneath. Good floors from memory. I think one of the rear floor pans has got a tiny soft spot on it, but other than that, it's really solid underneath, all original rockers. And when I first imported it 5 years ago, I took it for inspection, had a good look underneath it, and very solid car, very solid car. There's a few blemishes on the paint. As I say, the paintwork is old, and they are probably hard to pick them up on the camera, but there's one or two tiny blemishes on the paintwork, sort of blisters and scratches and stuff like that. But overall, the car's a bright looking car. You know, good car for cruising or taking to shows, good car to sort of use and improve as you go. You know, if you wanted it perfect, you'd repaint it. The chrome is decent all round. I think there's one tiny spot on the front bumper, but the chrome is nice and straight and decent. Car's straight down the side, rear quarters are straight, doors all shut nice, doors lock on the key. I think when I had it before, I replaced the ignition lock on the door lock, so it's got a key that, you know, one key does the door and the ignition as it should. As I say, the tyres were new 5 or 6 years ago. When the seats were redone, also painted the backs as well. Also on a 61, both seats are powered, and on a 61 you get this heater grille in the centre tunnel, which you don't get that on 59s and 60s. Under the bonnet, it's fairly tidy, not detailed, but when the engine was out, it was cleaned and painted. It had cam and lifters, timing chain. It was repainted and regasketed. I've got some photos of the engine on a stand apart and being done. Manifolds were done. Underside of the hood is nice. It's tidy in the trunk, carpeted in the trunk. It's a good, solid, honest car that you can just sort of use and enjoy and improve as you go. 1961 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz.